Are you your ever-changing thought?
No.
And why do you say no?
I'm not my thoughts.
You're not your thoughts?
Nope.
And you know that for sure?
I know that for sure.
Did you think that at one time that you were?
Absolutely.
Oh, good, man.
Most of my life.
Is this your first time here?
Nope.
You've been here before?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And so what is it like knowing that you're not the thoughts? What's that like for you?
It means that it means the times where you get caught up in it, like when you get caught up in those thoughts, as I keep going on this path, those periods get shorter and shorter.
Nice,
basically.
man.
You start noticing sooner and sooner what's happening. But I still, get caught up in it sometimes, but then I'll remember. And
to add to that, when you do believe that you're the thought, just relax, it's not you. You know now that it's not you, whether intellectually or not that you know. You know you're not the thoughts, right? Just relax, let it pass, keep doing what's in front of you to do, and you'll be fine. If you stay with it, even if you're learning this intellectually, but you stay with it because you want to know the truth, it'll come. Just don't give up on you. Meaning stay with the prayer anyway. Like she was saying, she can see now she's all ego. She can't even speak unless she's speaking from the ego. The fact that she knows that is all that needs to be known. She's not in denial about it. And by not being in denial, it'll disappear. You know what I mean? But she's right, all women should shut up. No, I'm playing. I'm joking. Do you see that you're not your ever-changing thought?
Sorry, what? Can you repeat that?
Are you your ever-changing thought?
Oh, no.
And you're not your ever-changing thought?
No.
And do you know that for sure?
Yes.
And how do you know for sure?
Just like the gentleman behind me said, I'm not my thoughts.
And how do you react now when they come?
I just see it. I can see that some thoughts are trying to get me to react emotionally, or I don't know. Yeah, I guess emotionally.
Do they ever try to make you cry?
Not so much anymore. I don't feel emotional in that way.
They have done that to you?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had a thought that was so bad you just wanted to cry? Isn't that like crazy? How are you going to cry over a thought? But you want to cry. That's worshiping the devil. Isn't that something? When you're crying because of a thought, you're worshiping the devil. Isn't that crazy? So stay with it. At this point, do you give in to them sometime? I think I asked you that. I didn't remember what you said. I'm kind of rushing a little bit here.
Do I give in to them?
At all right now?
I would say no, because I have awareness about them. I'm not perfect.
You're not perfect?
No.
Meaning what?
I make mistakes. Sometimes, I'll believe a thought maybe for an hour or a day even, and then I realize, oh, that's just a lie. It's just a thought. It's not who I am.
And so how did you come up with this idea that you're not perfect?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm not perfect.
And where did the idea come from?
I guess the devil.
Yeah. You can't have any idea. You can't have an idea that you're good or bad. You can't have, because it's two opposites, right? If you think you're good, then you're going to think you're bad. If you think you're bad, then you're going to think you're good. That makes sense? You can't even have that idea. You have to have nothing. Isn't that crazy? You cannot be looking at yourself as a good person or a bad person. You gotta, and you will, all ideas will disappear. But you gotta stay on that straight and narrow path. You've got to become your own man, your own woman. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so like how you started today with how have everyone been helped by Bond?
Because I wanted to know that, especially when thinking about that story with Moses, and I know that people do the same thing now. They pretend they have love, they pretend they can see, but the moment things don't go, they overreact and they tend to lose it, but they don't bring themselves back. They don't tend to notice.
Yeah, and a couple of days ago I saw Top Gun, And
I heard that Tom Cruise was killed.
well, I'll say that
Did that really happen?
I'll
I'm playing. I don't know if that's true or not. I think that was a joke. That was a joke, right, Chris? You the one said it.
Blaming it on me now.
But you were just joking?
Yeah.
he knows because he was the stunt double. No,
I was there.
I'll say that I didn't cry, but I wept. And
You cried at the movie?
I wept because everything that I learned through you and being aware through Bond was in the film. And I saw everything while it's happening. It was tears of joy. It was like Denzel Washington in Glory, just that one tear where he's like, and it's like, kind of like what he was saying, there's no feelings to it. It just was like, it was like a perfect peace joy of like being aware of it. So anyway, that's to wrap up the whole thing.
So it's the kind of movie that made you cry?
I wept.
Wow. Did you go by yourself?
No, I actually went with Ted Nugent, and he wept also.
Oh.
But
Two beta males.
So I want the answer in the biblical question. Are you the ever changing thought, or
Are you the ever-changing thought?
Because when you asked him, you said, "Are you your ever-changing thought?"
Well,
Okay.
Same
Because
thing.
to me, okay. So I was thinking initially when I heard it, and I did think of it as, "Are you your ever-changing thought?" And I was like, "No, because all thoughts are lies."
Well, the reason I use the because they're not your thoughts.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, and initially I was like, no, because believing the thoughts of the highs and lows is the roller coaster and the ego and all thoughts are lies and stuff.
yeah.
But then when I reflected on it more, yes.
You are the ever-changing thought?
Yes, because the ever-changing thought is not my thought. It's renewing the mind, being still, the sound mind, and being able to ever-changing how I hear things. I've heard you say a million times the thing that you said today about if God doesn't care, why should you? But today I heard it differently.
Yeah.
So that's ever-changing, even hearing you. I hear it differently as I grow in the light. So that is ever-changing, my understanding.
But you're not your ever-changing thoughts at all. Because thoughts are up and down. They think about the past, they think about the future. They think about this, it makes you feel a certain way. You're none of those things. And the reason I want to put that question out there because most people think that they are the ever-changing thoughts. They are up and down emotionally, they worry, they have fear, they're jealous, they're envious, they have doubt, they whatever, right? And you're not that. So if you stop identifying with those thoughts, then you could be free from them. You're not, they are constantly changing. How can you be this way one time and this way another time and this way and this way? It's not you at all. And I want people to see that they're not their ever-changing thoughts. Thoughts are constantly changing. And that's why I want you to pay attention to thoughts when you think that you don't have any. You still should be aware so that they don't catch up with you. Because as soon as you think everything is fine and you don't pay attention to the devil, they're not you, the devil come and make you feel bad about something. He'll remind you of something else. Now you're down. And then as soon as you're down, he'll try to bring you up and make you feel good, thinking of something good. You're not those ever-changing thoughts at all.
So what would it be when, like even when you say mind-blowing, it makes me think of like literally our mind is being blown because we're being renewed and we're being able to see it.
Yeah, when I say mind-blowing, I just mean it's amazing to come out of this darkness, this hell that I've been living in, and realizing what it's like not to live there and how I've been so deceived with the imagination. And then when I see other people suffering, I can see that it's so unnecessary. It's so not even real. It's an illusion, but you live it as though it's real. We're like really free. We've never been guilty. We've never done anything wrong. We are free. Christ made us free when he came, when he took everything on for us. Everything is done. And to live as though we're not free is mind-blowing to me. We believed a lie. We literally have believed a lie because we've been taught to believe a lie all our lives. When they taught you the Bible, they were teaching you intellectually, they caused you to believe a lie because you think you know God. If you know him, you're free. If you intellectually learn about him, you're not free. Really. That's why I want people to keep their eyes on themselves so they should know that they know that they know. Not just because someone said it. That make sense?
Yeah. So when you say like, let it go one ear out the other.
Even today, with today's conversation, don't let your mind drift away, stay present, but don't hold on to anything that's been said here today. Leave your glass empty. Because if you hold on to it the rest of the day and tonight, Satan's going to try to remind you to make you think you have it. You don't need to learn it. We have a teacher. Don't hold on to anything. Amazing. The reason I asked this question is because I was reflecting on, remember that guy, Moses, that delivered the people from Egypt or somewhere? From where? Moses. Remember that guy? Who know that story? Oh, everybody knows it. Oh, good. The reason I thought of that story because I was thinking about the last 32 years of working with people, not only on the radio, but the different meetings and things like that. And people say, oh, I've been helped. I can see. I went and forgave my mama. I forgave my daddy. And I'm not mad anymore. I can see, right? And you think for a while, like, wow, that's good. People are really being helped. They can see. And then as soon as a storm comes, Moses has to go upstairs to pray to get more instruction as to how to deliver the people all the way over to the land. Somebody rise up in the crowd and say, hey, where's Moses? Look at Moses, no different than us. Let's not listen to Moses. He's still upstairs. He might be asleep. And the people are like, yeah, that's right. And they would turn on Moses. And they would start following the leader of the crowd. And they seem to have forgotten that they even said they were free. They got freedom up, but they seem to forget that. Well, I'm not going to follow this guy. I'm already free. I don't need to follow anyone. I'm waiting until Moses come back. I'm not wishing a calf. I'm not following the crowd. And so I was thinking, maybe these people are not free. They're not truly forgiven. Because when you have truly forgiven and you have no anger, it's impossible to follow a crowd. It's impossible to follow anyone. It's literally impossible. And not even a part of your mind or your nature anymore. Because you have been spiritually freed up. You've been set free. And now you can see. And so, because I know for me, part of mine was the training. I was brought up not to follow anyone. The one thing that's never follow a crowd, never ever follow a crowd. Even the Bible says the straight and the narrow road is what you should take. Whenever you take the wide road, it always leads to destruction. You should never, ever, 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 ever follow the crowd. There's never a reason to follow a crowd. You could just know you're on your way to destruction when you follow a crowd. The one thing that the devil loves is for you to follow the crowd. He hates the individual. He hates the person, the man or the woman that can stay on that narrow road by themselves. He hates that. He hates it when you can be alone because you're still, you're by yourself, you're quiet. And the devil don't have to worry about you when you're with the crowd because you're not paying attention. You're following another person or the crowd. But when I was growing up, we were taught never, ever, ever, ever to follow a crowd. And so I just didn't anyway. But when God took the anger from me, I know that it's God who took it away. I just don't have it. And there's nothing another human being could offer me that I would make me follow them. I learn from different people. I listen to everybody. I listen to the enemies as well as the friends. But it's abnormal to follow a crowd. Look like you should know especially if you say you woke up, you don't have the anger anymore. Look like you should know yourself well enough to know, well, if I can see, why am I following this crowd? Why am I following this person or that person? Look like you would just see that about yourself and stop. Especially if you say you can see, you know what I mean? Because one of the aspects of seeing is to see the not you. And so you're seeing what's going on with the not you. And you could tell if you're wrong, if you're angry, if you're following the crowd, if you're not of love, if you're really paying attention. But I don't know how you can be awake and not see that about yourself. If you never follow a crowd, they did that to Moses and everything, and human beings are still doing it. For some reason, they don't see, you know what? What's wrong with me? Why am I overreacting? Why I gotta be at that party or this party? Why do I have to gossip? Or why do I this? It's happening around the world, not with all, but you got to learn to be an individual, really. Because when you're with the crowd, you're with the devil's children. You're not with God. That's why you need somebody around you to make you feel good. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to hang out with folks, but even in hanging out with people, you still stand by yourself without even trying. And so, just like they did with Moses, it's happening today. A few is on that straight and narrow, and they're staying there. That's why I said it take 40 years to really, I don't know how long it's going to take, but if you stay on that straight and narrow by yourself, eventually it becomes really easy to catch the thoughts, and because the Spirit of God moves quicker than the darkness, right? It's just we're not used to living in the light. But eventually you'll catch the darkness, meaning you'll catch the thoughts and you'll be separated from them more and more. But there will be nothing about you that would want to follow a crowd anymore, because you're following God. You're one with the Father. Why do you need a crowd? You know what I mean? You're not trying to escape the ego. You want to overcome the ego. So you would never take that risk. So I want to encourage you all to check, be aware. And no matter what someone else does, you be spiritually aware of how you're reacting. Because it's not about the other person. It's about you and your life. God don't expect the many. He expects the few. The one or two that would get on that path and stay there. So check yourself if you get angry, if you have fear. Like Adrienne was saying, you just watch them now. At work when she's stressed out, be still for a minute and let that stress pass and you'll be fine. Because you're seeing it and the light of it will change it. And once you follow the crowd, it's hard not to follow a crowd or somebody, because you made them your God. It's wicked to have a human being as your God. Human beings are jealous and envious, and any person that tries to make you follow them just knows something's wrong. Don't follow that person. That's evil. That person is wicked. They have a hidden agenda. That's why they build a crowd. It's like when you go and you forgive your mother, and then she go build an army against you, or you're breaking up with the girl breaking up with the man break up, and the man or the girl go build an army. That's an evil person. And the people who are following that person, believing what they say, is evil. And if they do it to you, they'll do it to each other because they're of the devil. You need to pay attention to these things because the devil is busy. And I also thought about it because I remember when the Chinese virus thing was happening, and they were like working overtime to put fear in you. Oh, you're gonna die. The hospitals are running over with death. And that's all they talked about, right? Until finally they said, you gotta wear a mask. And because you were afraid, you're following the crowd, believing a lie, you start wearing the mask, right? And then the people that didn't want to wear the mask because they were not following the crowd, people get mad at you because you were not following the crowd. He think he's something because he doesn't have on a mask, because you're not following the crowd. an individual, when you're an individual, it's hard to follow the crowd, no matter who's freaking out. With the help of God, you stay still and see your way out of that situation, how to overcome it rather than giving into it. But if you follow the crowd, then they say, well, you know what? One mass is not enough. You need two. And because they have put so much fear in you, some people want two masks and they're still doing it. And a shield. You know something wrong with you when you do that. Should you know that though? I mean, you should at least be aware of yourself. Okay, everybody and mama have on two masks and a shield. I'm not doing that. I'm going to stay still so I can see what to do. That way you overcome it. But if you follow the crowd, you're just deeper into darkness. God said, get on that straight and narrow, only one. And that's the one he's looking for, the one that's willing to get on that straight and narrow. Y'all need to wake up or something. So I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking about, remember when there was a shooting in Texas? Yeah. And they had everybody crying. Everybody crying. All on the news, the president all pretending, right? But most of the people were acting out. They could care less about that. They wanted to take your guns, so they had to make it emotional and afraid. But a lot of other people were following that too. Oh, what's wrong? I'm crying over the kids. Why? Because they were shy. And they didn't really know why. I was like, so are you crying because they crying on TV? Well, that helped. I'm like, why are you crying because somebody else is crying? That doesn't even make sense. But they are crying, and while they are crying, they can take their guns. Where's your gun? It's at the house. Don't follow the crowd in any given situation. And if you've been spiritually helped, you have woken up, it's impossible not to see. Once you see, it's impossible not to see, unless you have that fake seeing. Now, if you've been intellectually, if you have awakened intellectually, then you really don't see. You don't see. I was thinking about that, and when immediate everybody move away from that scene to another one, you move right with the crowd. Now you're crying over the white man shooting the black folks. Now you're crying over this or that because you're not checking yourself. Those people don't care about you. Nobody cares about anyone. There's no love in the world. God loves us, and we need to check ourselves. We are not this mess that's caught up in the world, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. Believe me, you haven't seen anything yet. And so it's best to get ready now by becoming an individual, not overreacting, and then you'll be able to live in this mess, but not of it. Really, you won't worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, who's your friend, who you're married or not married. You will be fine. But you got to, in these little things, you got to check yourself so you'll be ready for the big things. Because the devil is busy. And stop following the crowd. Really, it's okay to be alone. The devil hates it when you be still. He hates it when you're alone. He hates it when you are aware. He does. So he's going to send his children to destroy you. The devil children only love the devil children. They hate those who can see. They hate the light, so they're not going to want to hang out with you. They want to build an army against you to destroy you. I remember when the civil rights movement started. Prior to that, black people were not thinking as a crowd. They were not thinking as colors. They were thinking as individuals. They knew it was a spiritual battle. And so they knew whatever the color might be, if you were bad, they weren't going to hang out with you. They knew it. It didn't matter about the color. And then the civil rights movement came along, and they convinced the people to think as a crowd, as a group. And that's been almost 70 years, I guess. And they're still thinking as a group. It's about color. It's whatever someone says that it is. They can't see it has nothing to do with color because they have joined the group. They were not like that before they joined the group. They were individuals. They knew right from wrong. But when you join the group, you forget right from wrong because you're caught up with the devil and his children, and you're of the devil. And so all this time has gone by, and they're still fighting over color, more than any other time in the history of America. And there are people working overtime to make them think that it's about color. They work overtime because that's how they control you. And if you left the plantation, they'll try to destroy you. They can't. The children of Satan can't let one get away. They can't allow that to happen because that one might influence another one and another one and another one. And the devil doesn't like that. He wants to destroy you, and so does his children. So stop joining the group. It's not you anyway that want to be in the group. It's the ego that want to be a part of the group. And the blacks have not gotten over that, and now they're putting everybody in groups. The women are in groups, the homosexuals are in groups, the lesbians are in groups, everybody in groups. I interviewed a woman on the Father State the other day, Reverend Dr. something woman. And she was saying all this stuff that sound good about the indigenous people, about the insurrection. She would bring up these things, right? And so when I questioned her about it, I would say things like, yeah, I agree with you that it was, things haven't got, the insurrection was bad because Barack approved it. He went along with Black Lives Matter. No, that's not what I'm saying. I said, but you said that we had an insurrection. I'm not talking about Barack. I'm like, oh, I'm talking about Trump. The Reverend Doctor. I'm like, well, that was an insurrection too, wasn't it? Nothing about that. Nothing. They got, the words are so fancy and emotional. And so if you're into the group thing, the words sound right, but they're not right. They're intellectual words made up by the devil. They really are. That's when, and if you're not watching yourself, you will find yourself caught up with it. You'll be thinking, oh, that's so sad. I feel so bad for them. And that's the devil saying that. Anyone that feels bad for someone, you're of the devil. Who are you that you should feel bad for someone else? If God doesn't feel bad for them, why do you feel bad? Just think about that. You're overcoming the old nature, and it's just not normal. It's so abnormal to live the way you live, it's not even funny. That's why you have no peace, because you're living in an abnormal state of being, an abnormal life. It's abnormal not to be able to be alone. It's abnormal to be around people and feel like you need it to show off and to act like you're smart and all that. But if you watch yourself, you'll overcome that. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And so if you are of love, you can't be of love and hate. You can't go along with the devil and with God. You can't serve two. And so with the thoughts and things that you're having, now that you have the light that's shining on those thoughts, just relax. And you're going to get caught up once in a while because you've so identified with it, right? But if you just stay with it, eventually you will be, get away from it. It won't be so strong. Don't put up a fight at all. There's no fight to put up, because if you put up a fight, you're fighting with the devil. That's what he wants you to do, because you're saying that this is you, it's me. And you're fighting with the devil. He wants you to fight. But if you watch him and don't fight with him, knowing that it's not you, you'll be fine. The real you will catch up. You'll start to see. So stop fighting it. And let the ego just hang out there. Let it expose itself to the light, and it will be destroyed. And don't put a time limit on it. Like, how long this is going to last, right? The blessed state is that you now have the light to guide you, to fight the darkness. There's nothing you can do. So cut out the fighting. That makes sense? Yeah. And it's not going to the body and the mind, it's not going to feel good, but you're doing fine. The real you is not hurting. The real you is not lost. The real you, especially since you've forgiven and turned back to the Father, the real you is fine. You're not going through any of that stuff. There's nothing to worry about, no pain, no loss, no nothing. It just feels like it's you because you've been identifying with it. That makes sense? Yeah. Any questions about that? No. Oh, okay. And the fact that you can see it, all you got to do is see it. So this is what I'm telling you, to watch yourself, so that if somebody try to pull you into their darkness, into their war, you won't go into it. You will not go into it. And so, any question about that? And trust no one with anger. I don't care who it is. All right? Trust no one with anger. They can't be trusted. I'm Jesse Peterson. Thank you for being with me. You can get involved by going to our chat line on YouTube there, and Hank will give me your questions or comments. All right? Thank you so much.